Right, kia ora. I am here with Johnny Slash, aka Gary Brandon, or is it round the other way, bro? Good to see you.
Yeah, whichever way you like to put it, mate. It's all good. Yeah,
all right, so
deal.
For those of us that know Johnny Slash, right, so we were an alpha company together way back when I was a skinny, pimple-faced dude, and my fondest memory of you was waking up Anzac morning at stupid o'clock with a bottle of rum getting shoved in my mouth and someone telling me to swallow, which was Johnny Slash, right? And that was, you know, I go back to that in my mind, bro, and there was just such a family feel back in the military back then. And it's just great to have you in this space, bro.
Yeah, all good. It's good to be here.
Oh, man, look, for anyone watching this, the Onward Bar in Taupo, where Slash is now, is the place. This is the place where anyone from the Defence Force can come to. But I know little of its history, bro, I'll be honest. So would you just run us through where did the bar come from, how you put it together, and what it's there for, bro, please?
Yeah, well, basically, the wife and I bought a new property here in Taupo. It's like 3.5 acres. It's got like an old villa on it. And then we had plans for it. And we want to just add on, put in a pool and a couple of rooms out the back. So one being, I wanted a man cave. Had a few little military prints and replica weapons I want to put on the wall and just, basically have a bar so I didn't have to go into town to drink. So, so we set this 6x6 little room up. It's got like a big fireplace outside and, sort of barbecue area. And it wasn't really supposed to go as big as it has, but so once I put stuff on the walls and a few of the boys come around, we had a few piss-ups, and then, so they just sort of go, I've got this for the bar, so they'd bring me something, and I think, the first main thing was one of the boys dropped off some stuff he'd collected, Vietnam era, JGs and the like, equipment, so I set up a mannequin. As soon as I did that one, someone else go, I've got this, so now I've got to do it justice, so I've now got 13 mannequins. And it's just a place where anyone who served or still serving can come. Have a it's BYO, bring your own drinks, a place where you can just reminisce the old days. Have a sound out other guys that we're all alike from being ex-Defence Force. So and everyone loves it. So there's quite a few groups that have had reunions here.
Yep.
Stuff, and sort of every 3 years I have a big Anzac Day here. One was we were supposed to have it because of the lockdown. It was going to be 200, probably would end up about 250 people.
Oh,
I'll just put that on till next year. So so we go on. So it's just a safe place where everyone can come, share their stories, what they say in here stays in here. Because quite a few people coming here with post-traumatic stress and told me all about it. So, but what they tell me just stays within these walls.
And that's really important, Slash, because I had a very special trip there, and it's something I will take to my grave. Is my dad and I, and their dads, we grew up in Singapore, bro. We were born into Ngāti too, right? And so I had a father-son trip with my dad, heading up to Hamilton to do some business stuff, and we stopped in at the Wairu National Military Museum. Dad and I got us a challenge coin each, right? And just having some good father-son time, some military stuff. He's talking about his time in cadets. We're talking about Tank Pond and flotation and Waitangi and Argo Valley and the Fridge and all these places that we know, Shepherd's Heart, How Long Camp, all these places. And we were comparing different ages and different stories. But there was a commonality of being cold and generally colder in the conversation. But we went through the National Military Museum, bro, and then we came to your place.
Yep.
And we came to the Onward Bar with Dad. And Dad was a military policeman. The first thing we cracked up about was the military police signers above the toilet, which my dad thought was hilarious.
Yeah.
But then Dad said something to me, bro, on the trip back, and it's going to stay with me. He said, "Son, we left New Zealand's National Military Museum," and he was in tears, bro, at your place. He goes, "Dion," he's like, "Son, there's more history here. I feel at home here." And he was in tears, bro, because of that difference. Now, how was that created? Or is it not created, you just create the space and the boys just flow through?
Yeah, it's basically, I've just created the space and, everyone's added to it, so which is good. So probably 50% of the stuff I've collected, and the other 50 years, people just coming through have donated to the bar.
Awesome. And for the record, I did turn up a huge bottle of JD's that probably is gone now. I was donated.
Long gone.
Long gone. Sausages were good too, bro.
Yeah, right.
And because this is on record now, tell us a story about Tripod, bro, about the cat, because that's special, bro. That's special for the bar.
Yeah. I say, when was that? January 2018. He just came hopping up our little ramp there by the bar.
Yep.
My wife was outside and he sort of hung around, so she put some food down. She was able to pet him. He obviously didn't like males. He could have run when I was there. So he had an amputated leg, so I'd say someone's dumped him. Yeah. And they'd have been surgically removed properly. After a couple of weeks, he was inside. Now he comes into the bar and jumps up on the tables here and headbutts everyone. And he loves it. He's the bar cat.
And it's in the irony of this, like the irony of it. Tell us about where you are and who's on either side, and just how does this cat find an Onward Bar for someone who generally would just be hunting and shooting stuff, right? And he arrives on your doorstep. Yeah,
well, he's pretty lucky, because if he'd gone to either the other neighbours' places, they definitely would have shot him.
Yeah.
So he come to the right place where another amputee is. So he definitely come to the right place.
Like the irony just continues, right? So tell us about how you lost your leg and your background for anyone that doesn't actually know who you are, because this goes on all my networks, because you know me, bro, I deal with people from militaries all around the world, and when they come, they'll come there, bro.
So basically ex-infantryman, did 9 years, got out as a Recon Det Commander back in 96. Moved to Taupo. Basically that's why I left, because I got offered a job, tandem skydive instructor. Because I've been civvy skydiving since 1990.
Yep.
Got out, did that for 8 years, then went on the circuit, Afghan for a year, and then over to Iraq. And so it was January 2006. Got hit by IED, basically a double stack anti-tank mine up near Camp Buckmaster, near Tikrit. Basically kept the leg for 8 months, but it was pretty well buggered, so elected to have it whipped off, and I was back skydiving within 3 months, and then went back overseas again, Saudi Arabia, and back another 3 odd years in Afghan. And then
awesome.
Pretty well. Then met my current wife, and so she basically said, I'll work, and then so I stayed home, looked after the kids till they were basically 18, and then they left school. So. And then I just did a little bit of firewood here in Taupo, and then now I'm working out at Kinleeta Mill.
Awesome, bro. And you've written a book. What's the book called? Where can we get it?
I wrote a book in 2007, which it's called Kiwi Under Fire, which when I was in hospital back here, it's been about 4 or 5 weeks in Middlemore with the leg, and I had an email from 2 emails, one from Alan Brosnan and Duke Henry. And they've written the book Soldiering On, and they says, we really want you to write a book on the circuit. So and I asked them how to do that. They put me onto some key people, and so then just wrote the book. And that was published 2007. It's basically my whole story from young, military, and up until basically I got blown up. And got home.
Yep.
Just before it got amputated. So it's a good, easy read. I think it's about 167 pages, written in good soldier lingo, and everyone loves it. And it's sold about 3,500 copies since 2007, so it's sold pretty well.
Oh, that's awesome. Where do we get it?
It's if you Google Wilson Scott Publishing, that's the publisher, and they've got copies for sale on there.
Sweet, bro. And I'll put the links on this one as well. And so when I say the irony of this cat turning up, continues all the way through the story. And how have you managed, because when I interview anyone, and look, we all sort of know each other in this space, I reached out to everyone and said, listen, I want to interview Johnny Slash from the Onward Bar. Tell me the top 3 things about Johnny Slash and the Onward Bar. And it was the same stuff kept coming back, bro, over and over. So I knew it was what we had to talk about. Firstly, everyone's welcome.
Yep.
It doesn't matter who you are. If you have ties to the Defence Force, whether you're serving, not serving, or a family member, you're welcome. So that's why everyone said, it doesn't matter who you are, bro. You can rock up, bring a drink or bring some sausage, but you rock up, you're welcome. And they mentioned the cat, right? But the other one too is you're neutral. Like, it's really difficult with our backgrounds, with lots of stuff that we get involved in, to be seen as and remain neutral.
Yeah.
And then the last thing that they always say is it feels like they belong there.
Yeah.
And so when I look at those components for what we're trying to create, what we're doing globally, it seems to be the same human fundamentals, but it's been very difficult. And for the record, my family grew up in the RSA. And so I'll always defend the name of the RSA, because if you ask anyone, where is the one place in New Zealand that exemplifies what a returned serviceman would want to see when they walk in there, they mention those things. They're welcome.
Yep.
There's no judgment. Everything's neutral. It's like the ultimate ERV for us.
Mm-hmm.
Can you give us any advice? Because lots of other people are going to see this, and I know a lot of people I'm helping are starting their own initiatives and their own sort of spaces. Everyone understands creating that space. Some do's and don'ts, bro. Give us some feedback. You know all the players in the space. You know what's worked, what hasn't worked for anyone. And I Audley Room and Gold Coast as well is doing similar. Yeah. What's your advice coming from the guy that's sitting in the middle of this ERV where we treat as hallowed ground, bro? We really do.
Yeah, I was basically, just be yourself, obviously, to everyone. But as you say, honesty is good. And it's like with here, people just come because they know they'll have an honest conversation, and that nothing will go out from these walls, what is said. But also, if people do have room, say in their garage, they should just set up a little, if they got stuff, put on the walls, and then even just with your local people around the area, just say, call them in for a drink, and the next thing you'll have another group of people socialising a bit more and catching up, which there's a lot of soldiers out there that will just stick to themselves,
Yep.
So it's better if we're all in a group environment, and because we know how each other works and how we all think. So, and it's good for the old for your morale and your mental health as well. Staying in touch.
100%, bro. And I know a lot of the dudes that have rolled through there and guys that I've spoken to. It's always in our mind when we head north. But it's just part of the nav that we do, right? So we do our NDS, bro. If we're heading north, then the Onward Bar's in there. And I know how many times you've had a Facebook message from me or a text, bro, are you around, or you are or you're not? It's in our thought process when we head north, because it is that ERV. The other thing I want to, and it's interesting, a lot of those, or none of those people actually said confidentiality, which is obviously because I've had confidential conversations, right? Which is brilliant. So honouring the confidentiality is key, because in the veteran support space, I've been subject to it, you've been subject to it, lots of people have, is when you say things in confidence, you expect them to stay in confidence, because our network is quite small. Do people message you to say, hey bro, need a quiet chat, or they just rock up?
No, usually they just rock up, and then it's when they're here, they sort of, they'll just come out with something and just go, oh, I really just needed to share that. So,
yep.
So, no, it's good.
And you're obviously connected to a few other groups. Like if you get someone that comes in there, like someone's watching this right now, says, you know what, I don't want anyone to know what I'm going through, but listening to this, I'd love just to catch up with Johnny Slash and have a beer and just share. Might not need anything else past that, bro, but just to be able to unload that. They just Facebook messages, is that the best way?
Yeah, pretty well. If they want to just come visit, just Facebook messages usually the best way.
Yep.
So because now I'm back working, so always work it out around my buddy work roster. So
cool. Yep. And we tried to do this interview a couple of times, but you're too bloody hard working, keep getting called in. So here's another question for you. When people come and they need something that you can't give them, you've got links through to like Veteran Affairs and other people that you can connect them to help out with their permission, obviously within confidentiality.
Yeah. So I'll just put them on to Veterans Affairs, and if they're having issues with that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Even NODAF and all that. Yeah, I'll put them on there if needed. So.
Yeah, and that's a really important point within the space, is the person that needs the help is the most important, bro. Doesn't matter who helps them, so long as they get that help. And if they've got a choice, and they know who's in the solution space, then that gives them more options, right?
Yep, definitely.
Cool. I'm going to ask you about the RSA because it's really important to me and my family. I'm going to have someone from National Body RSA come on, and my role in this is really simple for anyone watching this. I'm going to amplify all the positives in this space. I don't care who gets on with it and who doesn't. It's just for someone that needs something, they need to see what's available in this space. And so for the RSA, I know it's a national body. I know each RSA is individually owned and there's not an authoritarian control of that. If you had any advice for someone starting a new RSA or taking over an existing RSA, how do you create the space that's cross-generational? Because it doesn't matter what generation we've got. It's just everybody's in your place, mate.
I think the way forward is to get a lot more younger people sitting on the committees of the RSAs.
Yep.
And you got a bit more of a younger, modern think to it.
Yep.
And from that way, you still got to work with the older generation of there. But that just comes with communication, doesn't it? And so I think even nationally, that's what needs to happen. The younger generation has to get in there, into the committees for it to change.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm taking a different tact, and you know me, I think differently. My ethos is very simple. The problem is never the problem. It's how we think about the problem that defines the outcome, right? And it's interesting, we learn all this stuff in the green suit, right? But we don't seem to apply it out here. So I'm going to take a different tact because the RSA is a business, right? So whether it's creators and associations or the rest of it, the fundamentals, the mechanics, what it works, it's run as a business, has a budget, has people that get paid. To me, it's a business. So I'm going to take a different tack with this. I'm going to look at the business side. BJ Sydney has a great reputation from what I hear, but I'm not looking at bringing presidents on to talk about things. And Simon was different because he's got another initiative, which is New Zealand Remembrance Army, right?
Yeah.
But I'm really interested in looking at the business model of stuff because I think there's a lot of things that can happen there as well. And I think there's a gap. I think there's a gap in understanding the RSA and what it's supposed to stand for returned servicemen and their family, and what the actual business mechanics are. Mm-hmm. Well, I didn't even know it wasn't a coordinated one body stuff until Palmy shut down. And I was like, what the heck's going on here? So I'm going to take a different tact. I'm going to put my ex-regional operations manager for Asia Pacific hat on, and I'm going to look at the businessy stuff. And I've actually invited, I've just had an acknowledgement today. I'm going to invite CEO on because I want to have a look at the business side, because I think, and I'll be interested in your feedback, I also think there is a gap between our people understanding an idea and the implementation, the execution model of that. Because I have a feeling, I don't know yet, so I'm exploring it. I have a feeling that if we can speak this language over this side, it may open a few doors for this bit to happen. You got any thoughts on that? Any advice on that?
Yeah, I think you're probably right there, Dion, so yeah, I can sort of see where you're coming from on that.
Yeah, because I hear a lot, I hear a lot, we need younger veterans in there, contemporary veterans. I hear all these labels, and to me labels are really dangerous if it's done the wrong way. Vietnam veterans, all these different eras and all the rest of it, there was never an issue within themselves. Right? I'm sure there's normal infighting we have with brotherhoods and stuff like that. But out here in the public eye, it's really important to understand that we're now collectively part of whole communities now. It's not just a military ethos, we've got to apply business to it. It's not just military communication, we've got to have business communication. And we're such a social animal now, we've got to be very, very careful with our communication style. And that's why I'm big on protecting the name of the RSA. But I really feel like 2020 is different, bro. The messaging that's coming out, this year's Press Up Challenge aligned to positive narratives. Does it feel any different to you? Because we've been in the space for a while, bro. Does 2020 feel any different to you? Positive, negative, same, different?
Well, yeah, with COVID, it's definitely different, isn't it? But yeah, no, just in the general, the space of the veteran community, yeah, I don't think anything's really changed too much there. Yes, I suppose, well, the bar's been a lot quieter this year.
Yep.
That'll be only due to COVID, but now we're in level 1. I'm sure things are going to start ramping up again.
Yeah, 100%. It's on our list to come up there. I mean, this workshop in Hastings, if it was a little bit further the other way, we would probably sneak across, but we've got to do a taxi ride up. I'm going to be the taxi in my car, and we're back at midnight. But as soon as there's anything further north, I really want to get up to Northland, bro. I want to catch up with Greg Nathan. I want to get up. I want to get up that end, and sit down with those guys to see how they're all doing. And that's probably another interesting point is, man, haven't we changed?
Comes with age.
Wow. Well, this is important, Slash. This is important. Like, we look at who we were back then. We're not those guys anymore. Our core values might not have changed. We're still the same people, like on the inside, but we're hopefully a lot wiser than what we were back then. However, I've always struggled, and I struggled with this for a long time, bro, is I look back on those days of extreme fondness. I mean, Brother Dip's still sitting behind me on my shoulder, right? And I miss a lot of how it felt back in those days, but I still get those same feelings out here. So I always struggle with, I like to remember those times and have that camaraderie and all the rest of it, but I've always wanted to keep growing. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm not a soldier anymore, bro. I could suit up and probably do a good job, probably a better job when I was in, just quietly as a freaking, right? But how have you balanced that? Like, you still go out and work with civvies, love civvies, do civvy stuff, and you're still the dude in the Onward Bar. How have you balanced that transition from military to civvy?
I was actually pretty lucky, because when I got out, there was a local policeman here, and he was getting out of the police force as well, coming skydiving as well. So,
gotcha.
Yeah, we basically, had the same work ethic. We'd always turn up to work early, and as for the average Joe civilian, he's turning up 30 minutes to an hour after start time. So, So, me and him fitted in well, socialised together, and I think that's why I had a really easy transition into civilian world.
Gotcha. Because, I mean, a lot of the boys struggle with that side. I was very fortunate because I went into police, so similar models as you go through, and we all ended up on the circuit. It's interesting, the circuit, wasn't it? Because the circuit to me was a real leveler. Now, your reputations meant nothing. Nothing, right? I don't know. I mean, we could tell that many stories about, all the lists on all the walls of, the hardest man from this company, that company, they poof, disappeared, gone, right?
Yeah.
But I also saw, one of the main positives I saw from the circuit was all the generations working together. Like, I'm on teams with guys that were in the army with my dad, and then I come out of the circuit world and I'm working with someone's son who I was on the circuit with. And I saw it as a positive of really getting to know everyone. And to me, that was really, apart from some of the issues that we dealt with, personally and professionally, it closed the network up quite a lot. And then now where we sit right now, I mean, I've got really good mates from the circuit that were in when I was in. I never knew them.
Yeah.
And so when we do the transition side, aligning to someone with shared values really helps. Have you got any links to anyone that's doing any transition stuff?
No, not really. The only one I know doing the transition stuff is Willie, isn't he? Willie Upgater.
Yep.
With post-transition, but he's pretty well about the only one really doing it, I think.
All right. So that's good to know. There's something else we could probably amplify on that side. Any advice for, at least, I need to do like advice from Slash series, all right? I just hit you with like 10 questions. You just do advice from Slash. So let's do an advice from Slash. Someone's just about to leave the military. Give me your number one piece of advice.
First bit of advice I'd do is reassess. Do you really want to leave the military?
Yep.
It is a big, scary world out there. And but hey, if you do, I just hope that you've done a lot of background stuff to what you're actually going to go out to, even just down to what's the cost of living, living outside the military. So just basic stuff like that. Okay.
Number one skill set, if it was available before you got out, that you would have grabbed before you got out?
That I would have grabbed. I think I would have actually done a bit more study, so wasn't too great at school, but what I would have liked to done is gone and done a bit more maths, a bit more, a couple of levels up from what I left at, just stuff like that, because it is helpful out in the world. Pretty well that'd be about it, mate.
Okay. Good advice, by the way. For anyone watching this, there's a website called alison.com, alison.com. It's free diplomas from Australia. And you only have to pay for the diploma if you want the piece of paper. So you can actually go in there and learn as much as you wanted to learn. And one of the things that I did is every industry I went into, I went and did a diploma. Sucked. I failed school too, bro. But when I was looking, before I looked after Queensland and oil and gas, I went and did diplomas in WH&S and frontline management and all this other sort of stuff, which to me, was hard. And a lot of it was like, was a load of crap. But it gave me the language. It gave me the vocabulary that when I walked into that environment, I could speak the same language. So that's a good site. So that's the guy about to leave, the skill, the guy that sort of just left, bro, that's pretty quickly figuring out that this is not all sunshine and roses. First port of call for that person.
What I should do is find out who else is in this area, ex-military.
Yep.
And just, I call it battle buddy. Get yourself a battle buddy out there, and because you think alike, talk alike, and plus, they might be able to help work-wise stuff. If you're struggling getting work. In fact, I just had a ex-Navy guy got put onto me, so he's just moved to Taupo. So I've put him onto a few avenues, and one's another ex-Navy guy. It's the harbour master here, so put him onto him, and hopefully he's sorting them out with some work here in Taupo, so that'll be good.
So last question in regards to veterans and the Defence Force side, if you could wave a magic wand in the veteran support space right now, what would you want to see there, or something that pops up or something that disappears?
Well, I'd want to see the RSA, start gelling and more younger generation getting involved with it. That's the only way we're going to make it work. The other groups out there doing real good work, Remembrance Army, Families of the Fallen, all that sort of stuff is great, even no diff. So even get a part of those, and it's something to do on your spare time, and once again you're then mingling with ex-servicemen as well, so
100%.
That'll be good for the mental health.
100%. Let's flip this, bro. Let's talk to civvies. And this is really important, guys. If we just stick to military our whole lives all the way through, it's either going to get really good and we're going to stay within that tribe, or it's going to get quite difficult if you see civvies as the enemy, which some people do, right? My wife's a civvy. Right, a lot of the people that I love dearly, they're civvies, and some of those civvies knock my head off quite easily, just quietly. So, number one piece of advice for a civilian employer, veteran walks through the door.
Yeah, civilian boss, not a lot know, but quite a few do know that, military, you come with, good skill sets, basically, and how you work, hard working, on time, always early, stuff like that, and you can get on with a broader range of person. That's what I found most military people do, whereas your average Joe civvy, I don't like that person over there, I don't like that one, So, generally, I think military are all better rounded, and, if I was a civvy employer, I'd be always employing ex-military people,
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, here's an interesting one that my wife came up with. So, Glenn Tefero, GT, Glenn and I were on team together for a long time, and we're good mates, and we were walking uptown one time having a bit of a chit-chat, met up with my wife and all the rest of it, and we're getting some funny looks, and I remember saying something to someone, I probably shouldn't have said it that way. I've evolved since then, I'm more relaxed now. And then my wife said something to me afterwards. She goes, "You guys just don't understand what you look like. I mean, you two look like a couple of angry monsters walking around here, and someone looks at you the wrong way, and the look that you give that guy is like someone sizing something up to eat." and sometimes we are scary, bro. We're intimidating looking, but we're Care Bears, right? You get underneath all that sort of stuff, and would rather just be playing guitar and having some fun and loving everybody, right? So advice to any civilians that are watching, especially partners and stuff, right, that are dealing with their workmates, what do you think the easiest way is for a civvy to connect with one of us from Slash?
Probably just go, hey, how's it, bro? What's happening? Start trying to speak the military lingo back at them. Yeah, and that's one way to probably break the ice, really.
But just straight down the middle with us, eh?
Yeah, exactly. It's black and white, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is. And it's funny because we take the piss a lot. Eh? Humour is probably the number one disarmer that we all sort of use. Like, I was doing a serious interview, and then one of the boys jumps on like, "Hey, ball bag." I'm like, bro, this is New York. I'm trying to do some stuff over there, and the boys are jumping on, calling me ball bag. But it's that straight down the middle and that humour stuff, right? And when I interview people, it's just I'm just thinking about who's watching it, who needs it, what can we amplify. But probably the biggest thing I'm getting from this one, bro, is we need to lock this RSA thing down. We need to be neutral in amplifying what all the groups are doing, even if we don't get on with them. And outside of that, it's really probably employment transition if there was the top three. Anything else you reckon in there, bro?
No, I think it's pretty well covered just about everything, I think, bro.